talk about what it is you want unapologetically and openly in a way that's like you could receive insight from someone else once you share what you want, right? Let yourself talk about what you want and what occurs to you as far as what's more for you, what's next.
Like, people feel bad saying, I want to make more money. Who doesn't want to make more money? Like, that's stupid. Like making more money is fun. And what's wrong with someone wanting to make more money? Say you've got a big dream to do something and you're afraid to share it with people. You being afraid to share it with people could keep people from like joining you in the vision of creating the dream that you have. It could be selfish not to tell people what you want. That might be more selfish.
Welcome to the Everyday Leader Podcast. Leadership is a choice. Join me, Matt, and my co-hosts Drew and Tate each episode as we break down how to lead powerfully in your family, team, and organization. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Leader Podcast. Drew and I are excited to have a discussion on the show today, and we're just going to jump right into it. This is something that Drew has brought up recently, and I'm excited to kind of probe more and dig into Drew's views or insights on this. So what we're going to talk about is this idea of how society has taught us, or where we think that wanting more or declaring and talking about what we want and going after what we want is somehow selfish or is quote unquote bad. And if you take a moment and reflect, you can probably think of an example of that where you've either thought that about someone else or thought that about yourself or felt that when maybe you did start to talk about what you want or go after something that's meaningful to you, and you find this kind of resistance or the stigma around like, well, why can't you just be grateful for what you have, or that's greedy, right? So Drew, let's start here. I'm excited to hear more about, what you've been learning about this. Why is it from your perspective or what you've seen that we tend to apologize for what we want or for like our dream or for what's more for us?
I can only talk about what I've experienced or what I've seen. So I'm gonna go from that, and that may not be the entire truth, but it's what I can see. So some of it, I think we're like most of us, especially here in the United States of America. I imagine that's most of our listeners. I know we've got a few according to the data that exist outside of the US, but in a Christian nation, with fundamentally Christian beliefs, and most of the people in my life being Christian believers, it seems like there's almost like this requirement of humility that people take to an extreme, where, it's not okay to want something nice for myself because that would be greedy. I got to be grateful for what I have. And if I want to make more money, if I want to live in a nicer house, if I want a better job, maybe I'm not grateful for what God's given me and for what I have. And it could also be, if you think about what a child hears when they're growing up, like children dream big. Like, it's almost like we're born to dream and we're born to think big. And I am doing my best as a parent not to do this. And I don't think and as I think back, I don't think my parents like intentionally did this. But there's like, sometimes I think the other thing people hear is this idea of like, or this phrase of, you've got to be realistic. Like, oh, I want to make it to professional sports. Well, you probably can't do that. Like, only less than 1% of 1% make it to the NFL or MLB or the NBA. Why don't you think about being a dentist or something? Cause that's maybe a little bit more realistic. So to summarize your question, I think it's maybe some of it is maybe I'll go as far as to say like a false belief about what God has intended for us when it comes to gratitude and humility. And secondarily, like just the world pushing people down.
Yeah. That's like a fascinating human nature thing in and of itself, right? That it's pretty common to, when someone's attempting to stand out, step up, rise up, that it's often met with people around them pulling them down in an effort to help themselves stay comfortable or not be outdone. Or honestly, I think it kind of goes back to like, if the people around them start to rise, there's like this shame around, well, I'm not rising, so the fastest way to stay safe is to pull you back down,
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah. Experience that. I've seen people go through that. Yeah. Where someone makes the big changes and everyone's like, well, why are you, who are you to change and get better than the rest of the group?
Yeah. So, okay, well, I want to kind of interject here with this, and this is true about everything we say on any of our shows, is that Drew and I obviously don't have all the answers, and we certainly don't get on the show to proclaim that we have like what's perfect for you or the only answer to any of this. We love to discuss and explore and understand. And at the end of the day, like, this is self-leadership, right? What we're talking about is like taking care of yourself, leading yourself to whatever it is. And so don't misunderstand our conversation today that like there's a right thing for you to be doing, or what we've done is really, all we're saying is like, tell yourself the truth, which is you can do anything, and that the principle of caring for yourself and leading yourself is actually really powerful, whatever that looks like for you. And so anyway, I just wanted to interject there with that. Like, remember that our intention is not to say that we have one way or the answer. It's, we want you to find what that is for you, and have the courage to step into it and be bold and take a stand for what you want and for your leadership.
Yeah. And if we find it, we'll share it.
Yeah. If we uncover the secrets, we'll let you know. So okay. So on the flip side of this idea that, right, sometimes we shy away from talking about what we want, or we almost feel this guilt or shame, right? And those are different things. We won't get into that today. Guilt can actually be a powerful thing. And in this case, I believe it's more shame, right? We feel shame around like, well, I want more, which means I must be ungrateful, or I want more, which means I must be dissatisfied in a negative way with what's currently going on. And so on the flip side of that, there's, well, taking a stand for what we want and what we want to create. And talk to us a little bit about that, Drew. Like, what happens when someone does that, or when you've done that, and what does it create for a person, and why does it matter?
Well, first off, it's not very powerful. It's not very powerful to be apologetic about what you want. And let me just give a couple examples. Some of the most inspired people I've been around have been the ones who aren't afraid to share what they want and what they're looking to do in the world. Sometimes it's crazy. Sometimes they come off arrogant. Sometimes sometimes it's not realistic and it doesn't happen. And I find myself being inspired by people that don't apologize for why something is so important to them and why they are going to go after it, and why they're doing the thing, whatever that thing might be. And on the flip side, it's, I'm not well, I shouldn't say I'm not excited, but I'm probably less excited, or not always excited, to do something with someone when they're apologizing about their dream or why they want to do something. And let's just talk about one that's pretty common in society: money. People feel bad saying, I want to make more money. Who doesn't want to make more money? Like, that's stupid. Like making more money is fun, and making more money allows you to have tools and do things you can do otherwise. Now, sure, like, if money becomes all it's about, right, that's maybe that's not the thing, right? Maybe that's not the thing to pursue if that's all it's about. And what's wrong with someone wanting to make more money? I've grown to hate the term like live within your means. Like, not one, there's wisdom in not like going out and just blowing money on credit cards and going crazy. And two, like, who wants to feel like, oh, well, this is it. Like, all I can make, right? Like, it's way more fun to be like, no, I'm going to go make some more so I can go on an awesome trip with my family and have some experiences. I'm going to make some more money so the next time I see someone in our community have a tragedy, I can just Venmo a bunch of money and not think twice. Like, make more money so that I don't have to worry about if the car breaks down next week, right? Like, what's wrong with those things? Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. There's not.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's dive into like the distinction here then, because then it's like, well, how does this get clouded? How does this get clouded up then? Because, and it goes back to like this intent or like this, what is it for, or what is it going to be used for? And that's where I think that the distinction is like the difference between creating value in the world or consuming stuff or, whatever, like a truly a more like self-serving type of approach to money creation. And I think that's an important distinction to look at, that like everything, all the examples you just shared are, how can I go create more value in the world to be compensated financially so that I can go create more value in the world? Whether that's for my family or for my own development or for my community or for my business or my team members that work for me and whatever, right? There's a lot of ways to go create value in the world. It could be service, it could be charity, right? And then there's a ton of ways. And I think that's the important distinction is, are we creating value to create more value, or are we creating value to be a consumer?
Yeah. If you want to have a greater impact, whether that's in your home, in your community, or in the world, like, you've got to have more, whether that's more money, more time, more discipline. Like, you can't give more to people if you don't get more yourself first. Like,
Yeah.
and so I like to say this idea of like, hey, want more, serve more. Like, if I want more, I can serve more. And
That's so good.
And I feel like it's just sometimes it's just frustrating, like how sometimes you ask people because you want them to talk about what they want, and it's like frustrating that people feel like they can't share what they really want, or they start to share and then it's like, well, and I know this is like, I know, it's selfish to want more money. It's like, no, it's not. Every like, you hand anybody $100,000, like, who's not gonna take it?
Well,
maybe there's somebody that wouldn't, right?
On the other side of that, have anyone experiencing creating $100,000 and they're a totally different human. Like, they're filled with confidence and joy because of what it took to do that. So so true. Okay, so if you're listening to this, this is Drew and I giving you permission to want more. This is us. If you think you need permission, this is us giving it to you, right? And you don't need our permission, right? But it's okay to want more. Want more, serve
more.
It'd
be okay to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, be okay to like tell somebody that. Like, if say you've got a big dream to do something, and you're afraid to share it with people, you being afraid to share it with people could keep people from like joining you in the vision of creating the dream that you have.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I maybe I'd even go as far as it could be selfish not to tell people what you want. that might be more selfish.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to like hiding behind what you could create, or hiding your light, hiding like your potential impact and your gifts, right? To some extent.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So, some of you might know, I've launched a group with Josh Tilley called The Abundant Man, and we've decided to have some really big goals. And at first it was like, well, I think we want to get 100 men in this year. And we both said like, that's not enough to like, I was having a conversation with someone, told me how he wanted to impact millions. And I'm like, that's a bigger goal. Like, that would change things. And so I've started telling people like, we want to help 10,000 men the next 3 years. And it's been amazing how more excited people are to like come talk to me about it and come have a conversation and partner or be interested in the group. And then had another conversation with another great friend the other day, and he's like, he's 60 years old. He's like, Drew, you're in your 30s, like 10,000 men. Why not millions? Like
Yeah.
you've got a whole life ahead of you. It's like, oh, yeah, like I'm going to start telling people like we want to impact millions of men with this. And you start talking that way, like even just starting to add that the last week or two, it's been awesome, the response. Now there's going to probably be people who look at me like I'm crazy, and there might be someone listening to this that's already shut it off because, all right, Drew's getting a little bit delirious. And I think, yeah, you want to do something big, don't be afraid to share it and talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, quick interjection. All this is relative, right? So if you're thinking like, what is this for me? It could be whatever that looks like for you, right? All numbers are just relative to where you are and what you want. And so what we're saying is take a stand for what you want and be willing to start talking about it out loud and putting it out there and stop apologizing for it. That could be simple. It could be, smaller than Drew's example, whatever. Like none of that matters because it's all relative. It's just like what feels big to you, what feels authentic to what you want right now. And we're here to say, go for it. Talk about it.
I'll share an example. Years ago, one of the first like times I was like, I want more, was telling my wife, like, I want more than a week or two off each year of my time.
Mm.
I don't want to have to like feel like I'm budgeting out my days off with our two families and not have anything left over for us, because that's all work gives me and all it allows me to give. And so like it can be something like that. It can be something as simple as like, I want more time. And you go to your boss and you ask him and he tells you no. And then it's like, okay, well, I've got to create something new.
Yeah.
I've got to do something else. Or your boss says, yeah, you're a great part of our team and we wouldn't want you to go anywhere. So let's figure out how we can give you more days off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And there's different layers to this too, right? Like I can think of things that are sequentially like close within my immediate reach and creation to produce or build. And I can also think of things that are a little bit farther away, maybe, or down the road type of things that I want, that is still useful to declare them and talk about them. One of those for me that it doesn't feel like it's the priority for my time and attention to build this right now, and it is something that like stacks into what I'm doing now, and we're on a path that leads us there, is I want to build like the ultimate family reunion and gathering and retreat venue like in our country. Just the coolest place to go be together with a group, whether that's like your company or an organization or a family. That's something that I want, and I want to build, and I want my family to be a part of creating. So that's like a little bit farther away, not because it's like we're putting our dreams on hold. It's just that's something that right now we're not actively working on. We're working on the things that lead us to that. And that's okay too, right? Is recognizing like, yeah, we want that, and it's not the priority right now. And we know what that priority is. So yeah, that's.
And one thing I'd like to like distinguish in all of this, you can be deeply grateful for what you have and still have a desire to want more, and they can both coexist with one another.
Yes.
And I think we've talked about this idea a little bit before on the podcast.
That's the definition of abundance. That's Matt's definition of abundance, right? Which is simultaneously holding deep gratitude for all that is and all that you have, and simultaneously being able to know and look for so much more as possible. That's abundance.
Yeah, I can be grateful every day. Gratitude helps you get really present, really focused on where you are. Gratitude will help you find more happiness and peace. There's very, very few practices that probably will bring more presence and more peace and joy into your life than focusing on what you're grateful for. And it's really fun to play a game that you can chase and have dreams and have goals and find other people that like want you to succeed or that have the same dream and have the same goal. And you're not going to find those people if you don't talk about it. You don't
Yeah.
share it. And so don't get us wrong. Like, gratitude is definitely important. Like, there's a place for humility. There's a place for, there's a place for not being just arrogant. And there's, like, you don't have to apologize for everything that you
Yeah.
want.
Well, and real quick, I think another point here that's useful is like this is that there doesn't need to be an attachment to the outcome or to the success or
Yeah.
perceived success, right? And I think that's the key. And again, we can get into this in another episode. However, there's a difference between like, hey, this is something that I want to go create, and being unattached to it means like, but I don't hang my identity, my value, my worth on that happening. And I'm all in on going to create it, right? So that's part of abundance to me as well. It's like, hey, I'm grateful. I know who I am. I'm enough already. I don't need this external thing to be happening or to get created in order to validate my worth or to make me happy and it's fun to go create things.
Yeah.
Okay. So Drew, talk to us a little bit about, because I've heard people say this, and this is a real thing, and I know that there's people listening who will resonate with. I've had people say to me, I don't know how to dream. Like, I don't know how to get excited about what I want because I have so much evidence of them not working out, or it scares me, or like this idea that if I don't ever say what I want or have a dream, then I can't be disappointed. I can't be let down. Like, if I don't set myself up to go after it, then I can't be disappointed or let down when it doesn't happen. And look, I just want to validate all of that. I feel like that's very real for a lot of people. And what would you say to that, Drew? How does someone that's their current kind of experience or outlook on this, what's a first step or what's something that they can do to start to work towards, again, not because you should and because you deserve it. You deserve all the good things that you potentially want. What's
Yeah.
come to your mind on that?
So the question is, what if I don't know how to have a dream, or what if I don't know
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
have a
What if
big
there's
goal?
someone listening that's like, I don't know how to dream, and like my default
Yeah.
is don't set myself up for failure by going after a dream. It's easier not to, and just what happens happens.
So let me go back to something you just said and a quote that came to mind. I've been looking it up, so my eyes have been wandering. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, it's because I'm texting people. I'm actually pulling up a quote. So this is from Hal Elrod. He's more known for the Miracle Morning. I love this quote from his book, The Miracle Equation. He says, "The purpose of a goal is not to reach the goal. The purpose of a goal is to become the type of person who can achieve any goal by always giving it everything you have, regardless of your results. It's who you become through that process that matters more than actually reaching the goal."
Mhm.
So I would almost say that the goal, not that it matters, not that it doesn't matter, excuse me, um, but it's less about what the actual goal is and more about what happens to you and others because you're pursuing that goal.
Yeah.
So what if you set a goal to open up a business and do $1 million in revenue this year and it fails? Yeah, sure, that won't be fun, and you'll likely learn things about yourself, about what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what fills you up, what doesn't. Who the type of people are you want to work with that you would never have otherwise if you didn't set this goal. And so I don't think we have to have some big crazy dream to help 10,000 men or millions of men, right? I'm not saying that that's what you've got to be willing to talk about. And the goal could just be like, hey, we want to get out of debt.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If someone asks you, well, why do you want to be out of debt? Because I don't want to be in debt. You don't have to explain it. Like, you just want to be out of debt, right? And what's that going to do and create if you become a person who is debt free? Well, it's probably going to create a person who is disciplined, who isn't impulsive, who you'll probably become someone who is careful in their choices. Like you'll become something because of the goal that
That
you've
journey.
created for yourself. And if you don't reach the goal, it'll probably help you get further along in your life than if you didn't have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question, Matt, but
No,
that's
for
my
sure.
choice.
And love the quote. So again, too, if you're sitting here listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know how to dream. I'm one of those people that apologizes or just doesn't even talk about it because I don't want to put it out there. And again, it's very valid. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to talk about what I want or hope for it or go after it because then I'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen. And what Drew's saying here is like, choose to adopt and latch onto this belief, this idea that it's not about the outcome of the thing. It's about the journey of building and becoming as you work towards the thing. And again, this is a deep concept that can be a little tough to wrap your mind around sometimes. And it's one that I still wrestle with daily. And start by internalizing that and sitting with that idea. Like, okay, can I get excited about something and let go of it has to happen or I'll be disappointed? Can I get excited about the journey of working on something? Can I get excited about becoming someone that can do a new thing, that can go after a new thing? And that's beautiful.
Can I share the flip side, the problem of being too attached to the goal and actually achieving it?
Yeah.
So, let's use a sports example. In sports, it's the ultimate is winning a championship in your sport. Like you hear everybody talk about, I mean, like if you go on ESPN, the GOAT debate is about like guys that win championships. And if you
Yeah.
don't win a championship, you're not even considered a great athlete. Like kind of stupid, but like,
Yeah.
anyways. And, um, this is actually, this isn't anything new. This, you can go back and find stuff about this. I don't know, was it probably 10 years ago when Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl? He talked about like how underwhelmed and how like just how he questioned his own identity, how I think the phrase is there was a peculiar pang of emptiness. Like he was on the top of the football world, which is like in our country one of the biggest things to
Pinnacles.
be
Yeah.
on the top of, right? And like reached the ultimate goal and realized, man, that didn't feel as good as I was hoping it would.
Yeah.
And I would argue like that's the problem when we make it all about the destination and not about the journey, is we keep telling ourselves the happiness will come when. And I am a poster child of like that in my life. It was for years, it was like, I'll be happy when I make this amount, when I reach this goal, when I go on this trip, when this comes. And then it was just like that would come. And then it was like, well, I'm not happy, so I must need the next thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, the happiness comes in the now, the journey, the gratitude, what you're doing right now. And use the pursuit of the championship or the pursuit of a certain dollar amount in your bank account to create something bigger in you and who you are and how you can serve and help others. And so I think sometimes it's like, well, what if I fail? Well, what if you don't fail and you get it and it's
Yeah.
not that exciting? Like that could be that might be an even more, in my opinion, that might even be an even more terrible feeling, is reaching the goal and feeling unsatisfied after you get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's there's a lot of examples in sports. I mean, Michael Phelps is another one who's come out and said like, greatest Olympic athlete of all time. And yeah, he's talked candidly about, I didn't even want to be alive. Like didn't even know who he was or what he was supposed to be doing now. It's like his whole identity and world was swimming and gold medals. And yeah, great examples of like detaching from the outcome and just enjoying the journey. Incredible journey. Like
Right.
who you become and the power that you wield to create and to influence is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And it was
And I
never about
doubt,
medals like that. He'll tell you, like,
yeah.
it wasn't the thing.
And I doubt they regret that they had some of those great accomplishments. Maybe there's things they would change, right? Maybe there's sacrifices they made that looking back, they realized wasn't the sacrifice to make that would have brought the happiness they were seeking in life. And yeah, it's just such a great lesson. Yeah, another great example, Matt, of of how the success, the outcome isn't necessarily what you are actually looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been so good. All right. Just to wrap up and get it tangible for whoever's listening, consider what it is you want, and recognize that there's probably been times when you've been apologetic about talking about what you want, or accepting that you actually deserve or are capable of more. And recognize that that's not selfish to want more, that it doesn't make you ungrateful, that abundance says you can hold both a deep gratitude and appreciation for who you are, where you've come from, what you have, and that so much more is possible for you. And then whatever that looks like for you, again, it's all relative. So there's no like what you should be shooting for or what you should want. It's just all relative. Talk about it this week. Take a stand. It might just be with your spouse. It might be with your kids. It might be with your parents. It might be with your coworker. It might be with your business partner. But talk about what it is you want unapologetically and openly, in a way that's like you could receive insight from someone else once you share what you want, right? It's not that it's not like my way or the highway type of what you want. It's just like, let yourself talk about what you want and what occurs to you as far as what's more for you and what's next. And then
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then work to grab onto this belief that it's not actually about the outcome.
Yeah.
That I love this, right? Like that sometimes we don't want to talk about what we want or dream because we're afraid of being disappointed if it doesn't work out. And I think what you said is so valid, Drew, that it may actually be worse to go after it and obtain it and recognize that it doesn't actually create what you want. And on the flip side of that, never going after it at all is also just empty. And so it's that middle, it's the journey part where we want to get to, where we want to engage.
And if you are sharing unapologetically and everyone is tearing you down, find more people. Like, reach out to me and Matt. Yeah, we'll be your people. But I can tell you, I used to think I'm the only person who has crazy dreams and thinks the way that I do. And that is also not true. And there are a tribe, a group, a community out there for you that if you go looking for it, you'll find people that you can share what you want unapologetically, that will tell you, yeah, that's it. Go do it. I will support you. I want to be a part of that. And sometimes that isn't your immediate circle. It's hard and can be challenging and difficult when that's the case. And I can tell you, they are out there. If you'll look for them, you'll find them.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, a little plug for the next episode that we're going to record soon today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want and what I'm building through the lens of another principle that we want to discuss. And I think it will be helpful for you to see more details into like some of Drew and I and our journey and what it is that right now we want, and what are we doing to use our past in a useful way to create from the future instead of letting our past determine what's possible going forward. So thanks for being with us today. And you got this. Be a leader, lead yourself, fill your cup, and you can bless the lives of others with your overflow as you lead yourself and pursue what you want. And that can be a great blessing to others. So today's the day.
Today's the day.
Thanks for joining us on the Everyday Leader podcast. If you're ready to take your leadership journey even further, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for more insights and practical tips. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram to stay a part of our growing community. Just follow the links in the show notes. If this episode impacted you, please help us spread the word and share the link with a friend from wherever you're listening.